Good day, my beloved students. My name is Edo Triumph, your contact tutor for didactics and learner support for computer studies, computer methodology. I welcome you to this very beautiful presentation, a presentation that will guide you on how to approach your forthcoming examination, COMS 2022. Before I start my presentation, I want to congratulate you because you successfully passed your assignment. That is why you are qualified to write this examination. So congratulations for passing your assignment. But as the saying goes, it is not over until it is over. So this presentation is for who? It's for ACSE, DSE, DE, DES student that takes computer studies, didactics and learner support for computer studies. It's going to guide you on how to go about your examination, whether it is April, August, or November examination of 2022. So sit down and relax while I take you through how you will or you should go through this or get prepared for the examination. This is a guide, not a scope. The interpretation is, I'm not here to give you topics that you must study only. I'm not here to give you area of concentration, areas only that you should study. I'm here to guide you on how to approach your exam without mentioning any specific question or topic that you should study only. So at Institute for Open Learning, we do not give scope. We prepare you for everything so that you can become competent in all competencies. When you get your question paper, you'll be required to answer all the questions. And something else that you must know. There will be a practical section. The practical section will be based on Microsoft Access or Microsoft Excel. You will be provided with a printer and a computer. If you are to write on campus, you will be given a computer and a printer to print out your work. If you are going to write online, what you should do is, when you are done with the work, screenshot the work, crop off areas that are not needed, and copy and paste it into the space provided. I repeat. If you are going to write online, have the work done using Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Access, as the case may be. Screenshot your work, crop off areas that are not needed, paste it on the space provided. Learn how to screenshot now so that you don't learn how to do it in the exam hall. Control plus print screen can screenshot. Mostly at times depends on the operating system you are using. But my advice is learn how to screenshot now. Do not learn how to do it in the examination hall. What am I going to do next? I'm going to take you through the presentation now, but I'm going to do it in two ways. The general guidelines, then the technical guidelines. So first, I will take you through the general guidelines, then later I will take you through the technical guidelines. First, let us pay attention to the general guidelines now. Number one, you should and you must review your assignment question that you received back from me. Maybe you did the January assignment or the June assignment, it doesn't matter. You will see that when you got your question back, in some cases, I made comment on the things you did wrong and suggested how you ought to have done it better. Those individual feedback that I gave to you and comment, you should not overlook them. There are things that you should pay attention to. Apart from those individual comments that I gave to you, there was also a more comprehensive general comment that I gave to all the students taking that subject. That one is uploaded onto your student portal. What you should do is to download it. Those comments, why are they necessary? Is that they tells you the mistakes that you made in the assignments. Those comments tells you how to avoid such mistakes and how to do it better. So it's better to look at them so that you don't repeat such mistakes when it comes to the examination time. It might be too late after the exam. Download the past examination papers. Download the past examination papers. The purpose, the reason why you should do that, by then you will be already used to the exam questions, the format. Although the questions are not the same thing, however, the format is the same. So if you download exam question paper, you will be used to the format. Now, by the time you go into the examination hall or you are online answering your question, you see the live question, it will not pose a problem to you. So download the past examination paper and practice with them. I repeat, and practice with them. Do not download question paper and send to me to answer for you. Don't do that. It is your responsibility to answer the questions. Wherever you think you have a problem, then you ask me. I will guide you. Next is, you see your course outline. You have to familiarize yourself with your course outline and your module. Know your course outline. Know your module. Go through it. It will help you. And above all, should you have more problem, contact me. I will help you. You know, Jesus Christ said, pray for the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit will be given to you. IOL has given me to you as your computer spirit now. Ask, and it shall be given. When you seem to be confused with any of those questions, please ask, then I will explain to you. But don't ask me during 7 in the morning till 5, because I will be at work. After work, from 5:30, you are free to ask me any question. If you look at your examination question paper, there will be variety of questions, different types of questions. But the very question that always come in my examination question is, I will give you some definition, I will give you some terms, some computer terms, which I will ask you to explain or to define. I pick those terminologies across all areas of your study guide. Let us look at some sample questions. So the next thing I'm going to do now, in the next few minutes, I'm going to look at some sample questions and tell you how to answer those questions. As I said, sample question, not examination question. Nay, good. Discuss any 3 advantages of using learner-centered approach in teaching and learning. 3 advantages of using learner-centered approach. So if you are going to teach computer studies, What is the best approach to use in teaching the learners? One of them is learner center. And what is the advantages of using learner center? What should you do? Identify the advantages. There should be 3. My question says 3. Don't give me 10. Because students have one tendency. When a question is very simple and you ask for 3, they want to give you more. It will not give you extra marks. So don't think that if I ask you for 3 points, because it's a simple question, you say, it's an opportunity for me to give him 10 points. Maybe, no. So stick to the number of questions asked. So in this case, you identify the advantages, so there should be 3. Discuss each of the advantages. Give examples in your discussion. Then you can answer that question successfully. Let us look at the methodology of teaching learners computer skill. If you are going to teach computer skill, let's look at, for example, apply learner center featured in lessons. You see, I happen to have been teaching computers for so many years. And I have taught computers at the preschool, I have taught computers at the primary, I've taught computers at the secondary school, I've taught computers at the university. So I have taught computer at all levels of education. So ask me any question about teaching computers, I will guide you. So which method do you think is good for teaching people computer skills? One very important one is learner-centered future in lessons. What do you mean by learner-centered future? I'm sure all of you here at Trustco, you are education students. So you must have been taught in your education methodological subjects. But in a very nutshell, learner-centered engages learner in difficulty and involve them in area of learning. What it means that the learner is involved in the learning process. Learner-centered method is involved the learner in the process. You know, you can go to a class as a teacher, 40 minutes, grade 8. You talk the whole 40 minutes. To you, you are teaching. You are not teaching, my dear. The learners will just say, do you understand? They will say, yes, sir. Give them tests, they will fail. Do you know why? You never engaged them. They were not involved. They were just passive, not active. So don't make your learners to be passive in a classroom. Make your learners to be active in a classroom. When children are active in a classroom, they get it very right. So don't be that teacher who sit down and just talk from beginning to the end. Any question? No, man. Learners will always ask you, they will always tell you, do you understand? Yes. Any question? No. That is what they will tell you. Do you understand? Yes, ma'am. Any question? No, sir. Give test the next day. Half of the class fail. Do you know why? Your methodology. Involve the learner in the lesson. Create activities that makes the learner to be involved. That's what I mean by the apply learner-centered future in what they have done. Learners should learn how to reflect on what they are learning and how they are learning it. 2 things. They should know what they are learning and how they are learning. And learner-centered method motivates and give the learner to be in control of their learning process, not you. You say one thing, my dear teachers to be. I call you teachers to be because you are still under education training. You can sit in the same car with me every day. I will drive every day. You can sit with me in that car for 100 years. Until you sit on the driver's space and drive, you don't know how to drive. So sitting with me for 100 years while I drive 100 years, you see me driving. The day I ask you to come and sit down and just drive, you will not be able to drive. Until I put you on the driver's side, then I sit on your side, then I teach you how to drive. Then it's like that in teaching computer. Engage the learners. Let them be involved. If you want to teach them how to save a document, in front of your screen projector, you click File, you tell them, oh yeah, do it now. Move around to see in the classroom if they are doing that. Don't just come and talk and go. It will never work. So apply learner-centered methodology in your lesson. It's one of the most effective way of teaching computers skills to learners. Then let's look at how you should organize your computer lab. Here, there is no law or there is no rule that says that this is the only method that can be used. It depends on you and how best you want to achieve it. For example, this one is called the U shape. If I have the U shape, I will be at the center, then I can look at the screen. When I'm at this center here, when I'm here moving around, the screen is facing here. Can you see this is the screen facing here? When I move around here, I can see what Selma is doing, what David is doing, what Petros is doing. I can stand here and be seeing what my learners are doing, the U shape. That is one of the advantages of the U shape. There are some computer layout that you don't see the screen of the learners. And you know what they do from experience, from my experience, what they do, you give them work, they don't do the work. You know what they are doing? They are watching movies on YouTube. When you are coming, they minimize it. They minimize it. When you leave, they maximize it. At the end, they will tell you, I'm not done with my work, I need extra time. But when you have a U shape, you can easily see what they are doing. They are very clever, the kids of nowadays, in teaching computer. So, but there's no rule about the type of layout you should use. The question here in a preparation for examination, you should know the different types of layout and the advantages each of them give. I've only given you one example of the U shape because I can be at the center and see the screen of every learner. So you will not be able to hide everything for me. But I have a way of caching them anyway. I just go to your computer and press Ctrl H. I want to see the history of the computer. Let me see what you have been doing for the past some time now. Let us look at another common question that I ask in the examination. Identify and discuss 3 common difficulties that Namibian secondary school learners experience in computer studies. What are the common problems they face in computer studies? Learners. Have you been to a school where you say you have 100 learners, only 20 want to do computer, the rest are doing agriculture, or they want to do entrepreneur, or other business study or economics? Why at times do learners have problems with computer studies? The most common ones identified so far: poverty. Most parents find it difficult to buy the electronic devices for learners. So you have schools that do not have computers. So you see the computer teacher at times struggles a lot. There are no computers, there are no internet. For example, you want to teach someone how to use Microsoft Word, the computer and the softwares are not there. You want to teach them how to send an email, there is no internet in that school. Or probably there is no electricity. That could be also a problem. Although they want it, but poverty can be a problem. So you talk about poverty is a problem. Lack of school and transport is, you have areas where you don't have enough schools. You have areas where transport to that school is difficult. HIV, AIDS is a problem. Some of the kids are orphans. Some of them are battling with some situation that make them to be absent from school all the time. These are some of the reasons why they find it difficult to cope with computer studies. Lack of quality in teaching. This has to do with the teachers. If you are not competent, you cannot teach it. You can't give what you don't have. It's not possible. So when we tell you at Institute for Open Learning that if you don't pass this course, we cannot graduate you. We are protecting the integrity of our certificate. You cannot give what you don't have. So if a teacher is not competent in computer studies, how will you be able to teach it? Even you, if you don't know how to send an email, how will you teach the learner how to send an email? So the lack of quality in teaching is a problem. Teacher absenteeism is a problem. You want to teach Microsoft Word. You come to school on Monday, you come on Tuesday, or Wednesday you go to the priest and have a funeral in the family. You travel on Thursday and Friday. It's your right in the labor law. Well, there's compassionate leave, there is a normal leave for you. The next day you come again, I'm not feeling fine, you bring doctor's certificate, book off. The learners are there, but you are absent all the time. This can due to sickness, it can be due to those having funerals and everything, and this can cost the learners a lot of days without being taught. It can cost the learner a lot of days. You have 50, maybe 50 or 60 days in a term. The teacher has already taken 20 days or 10 days absent. What are you going to do again? Lack of infrastructure. Lack of textbooks. Most of them don't have textbooks. These are some of the courses where learners find it difficult at times to cope with computer studies. So, let's check out something else. Another area now. This is a sample question. Explain the purpose assignment and examination feedback does. What is this question all about? Can you discuss with me the purpose of giving feedback to learners? You give students work, they have done the work, they submit the work to you. It can be an assignment, it can be a quiz, it can be a test. Why should you give them feedback? What are the advantages of giving feedback to learners? One major advantage is the children should know how they are progressing. When you give it feedback, it also helps them to see where they made mistake. It also helps them to see how to avoid such mistake in the future. That is why it is very important to give feedback. Feedback is an essential part of the learning process, where the teacher gives feedback to the learners, summarized observations from a marked assignment or examination. But when you give feedback, don't just go and start telling the person this is what you have done wrong. No. Give commendation first. Commend the child first. Even if the child scores 0, commend the child. Commendation motivates the child. There is no child that is a failure. No child is a failure. Don't make the child to feel that he is a failure. No. If you make a learner to feel that he's a failure, you demoralize the child. He hates your subject, he hates you, he doesn't like to. Make the child feel that I'm a champion. It's just that for now I don't understand. So first of all, you commend. So if a child scores 0, write for the child, thank you for coming to class. Coming to class is a commendation because others at home, thank you for writing the test. However, you did not score this mark. These are the reasons. Commend the child, then recommend, suggest. Don't bully the child with your with your recommendation. So a feedback is not just, you see, why when you write answers for me at times, why you fail. A feedback is not just the correction. It involves commendation, recommendation, correction, suggestions, how to make the situation better. Remember, as a teacher, do you know why you are employed? You are employed to teach. If the child has known, why do you want to teach? So why are you blaming the child for not knowing? The child does not know. That is why you are employed to teach. So if the child does not know, it means you have not taught the child. So teach the child to know. That is why you are a teacher. Now, on the 20, you check your cell phone. Account credited with, but work for it first. So here are the advantages of a feedback and why a feedback should be important, or why the feedback is important to the teacher, why the feedback is important to the learners. I've summarized how to give feedback. There are the points. They are your study guide also. React positively. React positively. You know, some teachers are very good. They will just write 0/10. Very poor. I'm disappointed in you. Don't make the child feel like that. Nah? Be positive. And when you give feedback, be clear, be honest, okay? Be constructive, be specific. What are you trying to tell the child? Acknowledge the learner as a person, not as a failure, okay? Acknowledge specific words carry specific message. So don't make the learner feel inferior. Encourage a child. These are some of the ways to give feedback. So whenever you give tests, task, everything, give feedback to learners. Let us look at something else, expert system. Do you know how an expert system is? An expert system is a system that is designed to mimic. To mimic means to copy, to behave like an expert in a particular area. So what are the components of an expert system? What are the components of an expert system? You have to know them. How do you create an expert system? You have to know. Let us look at the components of an expert system. How do you create an expert system? What are the components? If you are going to create an expert system, remember one thing about the expert system. You are creating a system that will behave like a human being expert. You are creating a system that behaves like a human being expert. So if you are to create an expert system, first of all, you have to interview the expert. So this is an expert on soccer. Interview him first. This is an expert on TV production. This is an expert. This person is an expert. Interview him first so that you can get the knowledge of the experts. After you have interviewed the expert and get the knowledge of the expert, you now create what is called a knowledge base. The knowledge base is where you put all the knowledge of the expert in. Then you create an inference engine. After you have created an inference engine, you have to do what? Now create an interface which a human being is going to interact with the experts. Then you test the expert system. When you are testing the expert system, you test it with known solution, known problem, and known solution. What does it mean? Let's say I created a human being expert on medical practice. So I go to a general practitioner who is an expert. He gives me all his knowledge, and that creates a database of that knowledge. I put it there. Good. Then I created an inference engine, the program that will be running it. Then I created an interface. So if a patient comes, remember, the expert system is replacing the human being now. If a patient comes, he goes to the expert system, then he presses "Seek doctor" on the screen. It's a touch screen, eh? Then the expert system asks, problems you have, press one of these. That is the interface now. An interface is between you and the system. Problem you have, headache, head pain, or cold. Okay, I press, for example, I cannot taste. Good. You see now, I selected one problem. I cannot taste from the questions the expert system give to me. When I select I cannot taste, I select I cannot smell, my temperature is more than 30, I know already that I'm likely to be already infected with the coronavirus. I know. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to teach you about how to test an expert system after you've created it? I know the answer is coronavirus. But I want to see if the system will write for me coronavirus. That's what we mean by test the system with a problem and a solution you already know. So if at the end, the system is not writing for me coronavirus, it's writing for me you are fine, it means there is something wrong with the expert system. So in creating your expert system, these are the components of an expert system. Get information, number one, from the experts. Number two, create a database and put all the information of the experts there. Create a computer rule, which is known as the interact engine. Create an interface where a user can interact with the expert system. Test the expert system with known questions and answers. If the expert system is fine, then implement it. What are the advantages of using an expert system? Preservation of the knowledge. You know, there are some areas that are very scarce to get. Talk about neurologists. Neurologists is one area in medical science that is very difficult to get. What if in a country or in a town you have only one neurologist and he passed away? The knowledge is gone. But if you have created an expert system, the knowledge is preserved. So one of the advantages of creating an expert system is to preserve the knowledge of the expert, especially where the experts are very scarce. Because if the gone is gone. Another advantage of expert system is quick availability. Have you been to a central hospital at times and there is this expert, only one expert, and there are 100 patients referred from Katatura Hospital to the expert? So your next booking is next month. You are booked for the next 6 months. Before you can see, the expert becomes a problem. They are not readily available. What if he's on leave, there's no other person? What if he travels? But if you create the expert system, they are readily available. They will just be like an ATM everywhere. The way the doctor will attend to you is the same way the medical expert system will attend to you. Another advantage of an expert system that the knowledge can be updated. I'm very sure doctors that were trained before 2019, while they were in the university, there was no topic that has to do with coronavirus. But today, all doctors have to learn it. So if there are new topics in medical, I'm just using medical as an example. I'm not saying that medical area is the only way expert system can be created. I'm just using that as my example in the class here. So if there are new information, you just go and update your expert system. So these are some of the advantages of using an expert system. It preserves the knowledge of the person, readily available everywhere. It can be updated. It's cheaper to get. There can be also some disadvantages, especially if the system is infected with viruses and some other issues. So read more about an expert system. The question here is, they always ask you in the exam, how do you create an expert system? What are the components of an expert system? What are the advantages of an expert system? Let's look at the final point in this presentation. How to explain concepts using pictures or diagram. Remember, you are a computer teacher. You want to teach the learner. If you say things so many times, learners forget. If you show them picture, they remember. Even learners, when they forget what you have said, the picture can still be in their brain. They've forgotten what you have said. But when you teach learners using pictures and diagram, when it comes to the examination, they've forgotten what you have said, but they can still remember the picture. That is one of why we always advocate, use pictures, diagram, videos to teach your learner. Don't talk too much. How do you create them? You can screenshot the pictures. That is one thing. You can screenshot the pictures, search for the pictures from the internet, copy the pictures and paste them and show your learners. There is a difference between direct instruction and indirect instruction. I want you to read about the difference between indirect and direct instruction. If you are a computer teacher and you are asked to make a budget for the computer lab, what are some of the things you will include in your budget? They are listed here. Read them. Learning management system. In fact, since Corona started in 2019, all schools now are having learning management system. A learning management system is a software application for the administration, documentation, tracking, and delivering of e-learning education courses or training. Where you have a learning management system, the content of what you are going to teach the learners are there. The learning management system will examine the learner. The learning management system will keep a track of how the learner is progressing. So it's a system that is used to provide education courses or training. What are the benefits of a learning management system? Centralized learning is readily available. The content can be upgraded. The student have access to it 24 hours. Less work for the teacher. So many advantages of having learning management system. Last point. I always say the last point. Last point. Classroom management and system. Let me pause. Classroom management and system. I have taught at all levels of education. You see this young teacher who come, he just graduated from school. First class teacher. Very good in the subject. Very good mathematics teacher. Excellent. But something can be lacking. Classroom management and discipline. My beloved students, if you lose discipline and classroom management as a teacher, irrespective of how good you are, nothing good takes place in that child, in that class. If you don't know how to put discipline in a classroom, it's a problem. So you can be teaching computer, that boy is playing games. What do? You give him work, class activities to do. Instead of him doing the class activity, he's watching a YouTube video. What do? You tell the child, stand up. Why are you doing that? I'm going to punish you. Please kneel down there. He said, I cannot kneel down. What do? I remember the corporal punishment is not allowed. So how do you manage your class? How do you put discipline in your class as a teacher? You know one thing? At the beginning of the year, from your very first lesson, the rules and regulations, the conduct, everything should be read and explained to the learners from the beginning. If I give you work and you are not doing it, this is what comes with it. So let them know from day one. And when you are to administer the discipline, be firm and consistent. I repeat, be firm and consistent. Don't say Selma was watching a video. Say, Selma, don't do it next time. Then this boy was watching a video there, you start beating him or you start punishing him. You are not consistent. Be firm and consistent. Once the students know that you are not consistent, you are not firm, they take advantage of you. And once they know that from beginning you are a weak teacher, they can do anything to you, my God, it will be very difficult for you to maintain peace and order in that class. So from day one, let them know that you are a teacher who loves them, you are a teacher who wants to help them, but there is a red line. There is time to learn, there is time to play. If you do this, this is what happened. If you do this, this is what happened. So if a child does this, don't overlook it for this child and punish another child for it. The learner will tell you, you are not fair, ma'am. you are discriminating against me. But this one does this, you did nothing. So, read this topic. It is your study guide. Classroom management and discipline, how to go about it. I will ask you in the exams. Who knows? You must know the difference between formative assessment and summative assessment. We've spoken quite a lot of things in this presentation. These are not the only things that you should know. If you need more help, here is my number. Here is my email. Ask and it shall be given. Email me, I will reply you. Call me, I will pick your call. SMS me, I will reply you. But do it in the evening when I'm not at work. I wish you all the best in the examination in 2022. I wish you to come out with the flying colors. So that day, when I will see you in the hall, I say, congratulations, my student. Thank you very much.